Hello dear students, as you all know we are doing chapter number 6 now. We have done one part of this lecture and in the last part it was very important. If you have not seen that lecture, please go and search for the part 1 of this chapter, because if you have not understood the concepts of part 1, you will not be able to understand the part 2 also. Part 3, part 4, it will go like this. Okay? Let us have a quick revision of important things of part 1 so that we can continue with part 2. We have studied laws of electromagnetic induction. What is electromagnetic induction? We have studied that whenever magnetic flux, suppose a magnet is there, magnetic flux passing through a loop changes. Okay, suppose this magnet is moving towards the loop. Magnetic flux which is passing through the loop changes, then a current is induced in the loop. An EMF is induced, and because of that EMF a current is induced, and that thing is called electromagnetic induction. There are 3 laws of electromagnetic induction. The first law is the same thing. When the magnetic flux passing through a closed circuit changes, then an EMF and current is induced. This EMF or the current will be in the circuit till the time the change in the magnetic flux is taking place. If somehow that change stops, suppose this magnet stops moving towards the loop, then the EMF or the current will become 0. This is the first law. Second law was the magnitude of induced EMF is equal to d phi v by dt, means rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the coil. And the third one was Lenz law, and Lenz law says that the direction of induced current or induced EMF is in such a way that it will oppose the change, it will oppose the cause which produces it. And what is the cause? Cause is the change in magnetic flux. So basically the direction of current will be in such a way that it will oppose the same thing, d phi v by dt. Okay, I have given you a kind of homework also. I have told you, suppose this is a loop. Okay, and when we are bringing a magnet near to it, then a current is induced in the loop. For moving in the circuit, a charge requires energy. From where that energy comes, this was the question. Whether this thing, law of electromagnetic induction, is the violation of law of conservation of energy, because we are not doing anything with this. We are not touching it, we are not moving it. We are moving a magnet nearby it. And then what we see a current over there. So from where the energy comes to the charge for moving in the circuit? Is this the violation of law of conservation of energy? Is this the exception? I have given you kind of homework to think over it. Okay. Now let us discuss this thing and let us understand how that charge gets energy to move in the circuit. Let me remove all this thing. From where the charge gets energy to move in the circuit, this is the question. Okay, let us see. Now suppose if this is a loop, okay, closed loop, and this is the magnet. This is the magnet, right? The cap end is the north pole and this is south pole. When I am bringing the north pole nearby the magnet, then the magnetic field line which is from the north pole, it will be like this. From the north pole, the magnetic field lines come out. The magnetic field line will pass through the loop. This magnetic field which is going into the loop increases, and when magnetic field increases, flux also increases. To oppose that, the direction of magnetic field of the induced current should be this way, so that this magnetic field should be opposed. And if it is in this way, then current will be like this. Current will be like this. And when the current is moving like this, then basically it develops north pole. It develops north pole. When we are bringing a north pole near to it, it develops north pole. Okay. Now, if it develops a north pole, then definitely this north pole will repel this magnet. This north pole will repel this magnet. When we are bringing this magnet to the coil, nearby the coil, here a north pole is developed, and that north pole is repelling this one. Now, if we want this to continue, if we want that this magnet should move to the coil, near to the coil, continue, then we have to do work done, we have to perform work done against this force, against this repulsion. Okay, when we are bringing a north pole near to the magnet, a north pole is developed. That north pole will repel this north pole, and if we want this to be continued, that magnet should go to the coil. Then what we have to do, we have to perform work done against this repulsion. We are doing work on the system. We are doing work on the system. This work done on the system gives the energy to the electron, so that electrons can move in the circuit to resulting current. And now if the magnet goes away, if this magnet goes away, then what will happen? Magnet goes away, then this magnetic field decreases. This magnetic field decreases. To support magnetic field, induced magnetic field will be in this way and the current will be in this way. Okay? So this will be the south phase. This will be the south phase, right? When we are taking this magnet away from the loop, then it develops south pole. Basically, this south pole attracts this north pole. This south pole attracts this north pole. And what we are doing, we are taking this magnet away from the loop. And now south pole attracts north pole. So we have to do again work against this attractive force. Are you able to understand? If it develops south pole and here it is north pole and it is moving away, then south pole will attract the north pole. Now what will happen? It will attract this magnet towards itself. And what we have to do, if we want this to move away, then we have to perform work done against this attraction force. Then every time when it is induced current, what we have to do? We have to perform work done. We have to perform work against the force. This work done gives required energy to charge carriers which are electrons to move and produce current. Basically, whatever the work done we are doing, that very work done gives the charges to energy to move in the circuit. So there is no violation of law of conservation of energy. The work done of ours is converted in the energy of the electrons. Okay. If you remember chapter number 3, we have already discussed that in a conductor, electrons always move with thermal velocity. But thermal velocity does not give any kind of current, because all the thermal velocity gets cancelled. For current, we have studied drift velocity, and for drift velocity, we have to apply an electric field, potential difference basically. Here, from where at that potential difference, that electric field gives the electron required energy to move, to have a drift velocity. Here, that energy to have a drift velocity is given by the work done against the whatever force is there, attractive or repulsive, depending upon the motion. Okay, so there is no violation of law of conservation of energy. Is it clear? So this was the homework. Now let us move ahead and let us do our next topic. Okay, let us do our next topic. Next topic is very important one. We are going to derive an equation, and that equation gives us the value of induced EMF. Okay. Now, all we know that, let me give you a basic idea of that. All we know that phi b is equal to what? B into A into cos theta. And the induced EMF is given by minus d phi b by dt. Whenever this phi b will change with respect to time, then EMF is induced. Now for changing phi, we have three things: magnetic field, area of cross section, and theta. Theta is the angle between area of cross section and magnetic field. Basically, whenever one of these three things changes, then EMF is induced. Okay. So suppose there is a magnetic field present in the space like this. This is the magnetic field, this is the uniform, and if I am making it with cross, you can simply understand that the magnetic field is inside the plane of the board, right? And now what is there? There is a conductor kept like this. There is a conductor kept like this. Okay, this is the conductor. This is the conductor. Right? This is the conductor. Now what I am doing? I am taking a rod, conducting rod, and I am putting it over here. Okay, putting it over here. Suppose here the point is P, here it is Q. And now this rod is moving towards this side with a velocity v. Okay, with a uniform velocity v. Is it clear? Now what is changing? Magnetic field is changed? No. Area is changed? Yes. You can see that area is changing. How that you can see that area is changing? Let me make it straight. Okay, yes. Okay, so this is the magnetic field, and now I am telling you that area is changed, because just see this area, this particular area, when this rod is moving toward this, area is decreasing, and when area is decreasing, it simply means that EMF will be induced. EMF will be induced across the end PQ. We are considering it as PQ. Okay, we will calculate the EMF induced across PQ. We will write that EMF induced across PQ E is equal to minus d phi b by dt. Let this length be L, let this length be x, right? Okay, so minus d by dt of phi b is b into area is L into x into cos. Now suppose this is the area. For convenience, I am taking the direction of area in the magnetic field only. So it will be cos 0 degree, the value of cos 0 is 1. Now B and L is not changing at all. B and L will be constant. And now we can write minus dx by dt. What is dx? Dx by dt? It is the velocity. The rate of change of x with respect to time, it is the velocity of the rod. So basically dx by dt is the velocity. So B will be equal to what? PLV. Sorry, EMF is equal to, I have written B, it is EMF. EMF is equal to what? BLV. Why this EMF is induced? This EMF is induced because the conductor is moving, and that's why this EMF is called motional EMF. Motional EMF. This is the EMF which is induced in the conductor because of motion of the conductor in the magnetic field. And this is why this is called motional EMF, right? And its value is given by B into L into V. Now the case comes about direction. What is the direction of this EMF and what is the current flowing in the circuit? Now just see. Just try to understand. When this rod is moving towards this end, this area is decreasing. When the area is decreasing, then obviously the magnetic flux also decreases. When magnetic flux decreases, then we have to support that magnetic flux. Okay? Just remember one punch line of this chapter. Support the decreasing and oppose the increasing, right? Okay? Support the decreasing and oppose the increasing. Support the decreasing, oppose the increasing. When you have to support this magnetic field, then the finger curl goes like this. So basically here current is developed and that current will go this way. Okay, that current will go this way. Why this way? Because the magnetic field which is passing through the area is decreasing and we have to support that magnetic field. So our magnetic field should be in this way. When we curl the finger, the direction of current is this. Okay? Now a very important question I am going to ask, and that question is P and Q. P end is this one and Q is this one. Which is at higher potential? In P and Q, which is at higher potential? When we look at this arrangement first time, what we take out from here that current is moving from P to Q. Definitely P will be higher potential and Q will be at lower potential. But it is wrong. You have to look at this as a source. Why I am telling this? When we take a resistance like this, okay, current is moving from positive terminal of the plate outside the cell, but inside the cell it is going from negative terminal to the positive terminal. Means from lower terminal to the higher terminal. So this PQ is kind of source for you. Okay, this PQ is moving, this PQ develops the current. So this PQ is a kind of source for you, and in the source current moves from lower potential to the higher potential. Then P should be negative and Q should be positive. No, I should not say negative or positive. I should say that P should be at lower potential and Q should be at higher potential. Just see outside the circuit how the current is moving from Q to P. So Q is at higher potential and P is at lower potential, right? P is at lower potential. Okay, this is a very big confusion among the students. They used to think that from current is going from P to Q, so P should be at higher potential and Q should be at lower potential, which is wrong. I am telling that here that PQ is working as a source, and in the source current goes from lower potential to the higher potential. So P should be at lower potential, Q should be at higher potential. So this is the formula for motional EMF. Okay. Now from here we have a particular method to find the direction of induced current, and that method is called Fleming's right hand rule. Right hand rule. You must have studied this in your class 10th also. In the right hand, you have to take your thumb, you have to take your forefinger, you have to take your middle finger, you have to arrange them in this arrangement. Okay, so that all the three fingers should be perpendicular to each other. Now just see, this thumb should move to this thumb indicate the direction of motion of conductor. This forefinger should be in the direction of magnetic field. Then middle finger tells us in which direction the current will flow. So this conductor is moving in this direction. Thumb should be in this. This finger should be in the direction of magnetic field. It is in this. Where the middle finger is going downward. So in PQ the current will go downward. Thumb in the direction of motion of conductor. Forefinger in the direction of magnetic field. Middle finger in the direction of induced current. Is it clear? So this is how we calculate the direction of current. There is one more method to study this motional EMF, and this motional EMF is studied with the help of Lorentz force. Let us understand that also. So let us understand the same thing, motional EMF from Lorentz force. What is Lorentz force first of all? Lorentz force is the force on the charges which are moving in a space where magnetic and electric field both are present. Okay, that we have studied in the last chapter. Now let us understand what is it, from here why the Lorentz force comes into the play. Just see when this conductor is moving this side with a uniform velocity v, then the electrons which are there in the conductors, they will also move with the velocity v. And when electrons are moving in a magnetic field which is b with a velocity v, then what will happen? The electrons will surely experience a force because they are moving in a magnetic field. Now how the direction of force is determined? This thumb is in the direction of motion of charge, whole fingers in the direction of magnetic field, palm face gives the direction of force. Okay? Let me repeat. Thumb indicates the direction of motion of charge, these fingers in the direction of magnetic field, then palm face tells where the force will be. Now just see, electrons are moving in this direction with the rod, but electrons are negative charges. And thumb indicates direction of motion of positive charge. So what we need to do? We need to consider the direction of velocity of electron just opposite in the direction in which they are moving. So we have to consider the direction of velocity of electron in this direction because they are negative. Since electrons are moving this direction, but since they are negative, we have to consider their velocity in this direction. Thumb should be in this direction. All these fingers, these four fingers, they should be in this direction where this palm face is indicating. Upward. So electrons will experience a force which is upward. So basically electrons will experience a force and they start collecting. Suppose this is not completed, this is broken from me. I am calculating EMF, that's why I am just breaking the circuit. Electrons will be collected over here, this end, and since this end start becoming negative and whole of the nature of the rod should be positive, and therefore the positive charges start collecting over here. And now this positive charge collection and negative charge collection will create an electric field. The collection of positive charge, the accumulation of positive charge here, and the accumulation of why the negative charge is accumulated over there? Because electrons are moving in this direction. We'll consider this magnetic field, this force, this. Electrons gets accumulated over here, and that's why the positive charge gets collected over here. Since the rod is negative, so when the negative charges are collected over there, then positive charge will be collected over here. If this end of the charge becomes negative, then this end of the charge becomes positive, because the rod has to be neutral also. Okay, so now the collection of this positive charge and negative charge, the accumulation of this positive charge and negative charge will create an electric field. And obviously the direction of it will be the direction of electric field in the rod from Q to P. And now electrons are experiencing a force which is dragging them towards upward. Say this force is Fb, force due to magnetic field. And now this electric field, positive and negative, electrons will get a force, experience a force which is dragging them downward, and this force is represented by Fe. Basically in this case, the direction of force due to magnetic field and the direction of force due to electric field are opposite in direction, but they are not equal. Once sufficient amount of charges are collected over there such that these forces becomes equal, so that will be the condition of equilibrium. At equilibrium, we'll say that Fb is equal to Fe, or we should write Fe is equal to Fb. I don't think there is a problem in that. Now force due to Fe is given by E into capital E, and force due to Fb is given by E V B sin theta. The value of sin theta is 1. Now E and E will be cancelled out. The electric field can be written as potential difference upon length. Let us define the potential difference by E upon length, V into B, or E is equal to BVL, or we have written as BLV now. Let us write BLV. BLV. Same formula we have got. Okay, and when this gap is filled, then what will happen? This potential difference will cause the current. Okay, if this is the EMF and if capital R is the resistance of PQRS. PQRS could not be because R is the resistance. MNOP. MNOP. Okay, MNPQ. No problem. MNPQ path. Then, or just suppose, let us not make this the complicated. If resistance of PQ, let this metallic piece will be of zero resistance. Okay, only PQ is having resistance. Then current is equal to EMF upon resistance. I is equal to what? It will be BLV upon R. This is the value of current. What is the force experienced by this rod if this is the current? Force experienced by rod. Why the rod will experience a force? Since a current is moving, and where the current is going? Current is moving from this side, this side, this side, this side, and then this side, because electrons are, when this is connected, electrons will be starting moving. So current is going this way. So since this rod contains a current, and that's why it will experience a force, and force will be given by IBILB sin theta. Sin theta becomes 1 because rod is perpendicular to the magnetic field only. F will be, value of current is BLV upon R into L into B. It will become B square L square V upon R. This is the force experienced by the rod. Where the force, this force will be? Where this force will be? The current is moving inside the rod is downward. Current is moving down. Okay. I'll make all these things here only. Current is moving downward, right? This is your FB and this is your FE. Okay. Current is moving downward. And what is the rule for the force? Thumb in the direction of current. These fingers in the direction of magnetic field. Thumb in the direction of current. These fingers in the direction of magnetic field. Palm face tells about the force. Now, thumb in the direction of current, these fingers in the direction of magnetic field, palm face is indicating this direction. So the force will be experienced by the rod in this direction, but the rod is moving in this direction. Then definitely we have to apply a force so that the rod can move this side. And since it is moving with the constant velocity, our force which we are applying, F external, must be equal to this F, so that the rod is moving with uniform velocity. So we'll write, since rod PQ is moving with uniform velocity, then F external must be equal to F. Okay, F external must be equal to F. So power delivered to the rod, what it will be? Power delivered to the rod. You must have heard a formula, force into velocity. What is the force? Force is B square L square V upon R. When we multiplied with V, it will become V square L square V square upon R. This is the value of power delivered to the rod. And what is the power consumed by the rod? What is the power consumed by the rod? The power consumed by the rod will be the power consumed by the rod will be P consumed, let us say I square R. What is the value of I square? B square L square V square upon R square multiplied with R. One R will be cancelled. So power consumed by the rod will be B square L square V square upon R. And the same power is being delivered also. I am writing it as external. Whatever power we are giving to the rod for moving it with constant velocity, same power is being consumed by the rod when the current is flowing through it. The same thing I was telling you in the starting of the lecture, that whatever work we are doing, whatever power we are delivering, the same power will be used in the flow of current. As you can see, power delivered to the F external into V, F external must be equal to F. We will put the value, we will get this. And then after power consumed by the rod, B square L square V square upon R. The same values. Is it clear? So this is all about motional EMF. This was the topic of today. Tomorrow we'll start with self-induction, and then after we'll do mutual induction, then after we'll do eddy currents. Basically this chapter is this much only. Okay? But before starting the self-induction, we'll study about inductors first, and then after we'll study about self-induction. Okay? So this is all for the day. I am trying to put the notes as the videos are uploaded. As you can see, the notes of part 1 has been uploaded. Of chapter 6 I am talking about. Chapter number 5 has been done. Chapter number 4 has been done. Every chapter has been done. Chapter number 6 part 1 notes has been uploaded. It is in the description. Go check it out. And for this part also I will try to put the notes then and there only, so that the work should not be pending. Okay, so this is all for the day. Thank you.